I figured I'd go over everything I'm going to need to verify that these bearings are the right bearings for this crankshaft here on the side. I did get a dial bore gauge. We got a micrometer there for the journals. This will be for the inside where the bearings go. It's going to make more sense once I show you guys. I also got for the dial indicator there. We got the stand for this dial indicator. Got a piston stop there. And yeah, also the pressure lube. It's from All-Star Performance, CMD, Smetting Performance. I know they use this a lot, so I trust him a lot. So I'm going to go ahead and use that for our lubrication for all the bearings. So now we just got to get this crankshaft out of this boxing and go ahead and start measuring the journals with this micrometer. Get in the bearings on the main caps, torque them down to spec, and use this dial bore gauge to go ahead and check what our clearance is going to be. I mean, you could use plastic gauge, but I figured I'd do it the more professional way, I guess. So I'll go ahead and get this out of the packaging and set up these micrometers and dial bore gauges. Get the bearings set up. I'll take you guys through that and get this measured. Alright, so this is it cleaned up. See how polished those are. Nice and clean. So now we can go ahead and move on to using that micrometer and get these journals measured. Okay, so I think I got the measurement here. I just went through and felt where it felt like it was sliding, not grabbing, sliding. Feels about right. So I'm going to take that and figure out what this measurement is. Write it down. Alright, now that I figured it out, I went ahead and zeroed out my dial bore gauge to the maximum kind of limit that this gauge goes up to. So I have that zeroed to this. And shout out to Smetting Performance for his videos on checking journal clearances and rod bearing clearances, rod bearings and main bearing clearances. His video really showed me exactly what to do, so go check that out if you're curious on how to do this properly. But as far as I know, I have this zeroed to this, to our journal on this first rod journal here near the relector wheel. So I'll write this down, this measurement, once I get the bearings on. And I have to check what my clearance is with this, with those bearings installed. So I'll go ahead and get ready to install those bearings and write down our measurement. Alright, so I have the bearings here, the King Racing connecting rod bearings. These are the ones that the machine shop provided to me. So that is what I should be running. I have cylinder 7 and 8 pistons here, connecting rods. So I did clean up this journal. I'm going to go ahead and grab these bearings, put one in here, torque it to spec. These are the XP coated bearings. This is this black coating on it to protect against excessive wear. So these are numbered inside of the casings here. 8, 7, 6, and so forth. Same with these, I'm sure. Yep. So we'll grab 8 and 8, put it on this rod, which is number 8. Well, this is number 7, so I'll grab number 7. Let's go ahead and do that. Let me just clamp this down in here. So here's my dial bore gauge. I already have any spacers I may need, and I have the right head on it. So we'll take this and we are going to zero it to our mic. So I'll set this inside of here, and I'm just going to rock this back and forth, and with the largest sweep on our indicator is going to be where we want to set this dial indicator at. So we're just taking this, like I said, putting it inside of this mic, and we're going to read that gauge, sweep this around, and we want our gauge to be at the largest sweep. That's where we're going to set our 0. So you see how right there it hits that 0 mark that I had already adjusted for. It looks like it goes a little bit past it now. Now we will take this dial bore gauge and we will use this onto our connecting rods. So I already had one torqued down. I have it apart right now because I am checking the weights on my wrist pins, because I need to find out which wrist pins I have, but I don't know which ones they are because they're not labeled nor marked. And the only way you can tell, since they are the same dimensions, they have, well, wiseco has 2 separate types of wrist pins, and they're both made out of different metals or alloys. So both of those will be the same, of course, the same diameters, everything else measurements wise, but the weight of them are different. So I'm gonna have to get a scale to weigh those to see which one I have. You're gonna want to take this, torque it to spec. This is cylinder 7. Okay. Cylinder 7 and 8 are on the back too of my engine. So we're going to take this, torque these to spec, which already are 15 foot-pounds first pass, 75 degrees second pass. This will make these bearings round. So now that they're round and our dial bore gauge is zeroed, we're going to take this in here, and I'll set you guys up to see that as well. Take our dial gauge, set it in there, and we're going to do that same sweeping motion to see what our measurement is. The largest sweep is where we're going to want to be at. So right about there is where we're at. Let's see if I can turn you guys toward this camera. Right about there. Sweep, largest point. It's a little bit past that 4, 5, 6 dash mark from 0. My largest sweep is past that 5th dash from 0. So from the 5th dash past 0, 5 times that 0005 is 0025. So we have about 25 thousandths of clearance on cylinder 7 rod bearing. So now you just do that with all your other connecting rods. Torque them to spec, set it up. I am going to check the rest of these journals. All the rest of the journals are going to be checked, and I will just do that throughout the whole crank. Write down all my measurements, kind of generalize what it's going to be, and if it's where I want it, we'll continue reassembling this engine, because next we're going to check the main cap bearing clearances as well. So we'll do that once we finish up all these rods. As you guys know from previous video, we did go ahead and go with the King Racing XP series coated bearings for both the main caps and the rod bearings. We did have to go 10 over since we did grind down the crank and the the main bearing journals and the rod bearing journals at the machine shop. Alright, so here we are taking our main bearing measurement with our mic here. Just miking that up. We're using our, after we've zeroed in our dial board gauge, we're checking that measurement. You can see here we're about 0.0, I think it was 30 or 0.025 thousandths of clearance. So now that we finished that up, we know that our bearings are going to work. We have good clearance. That's what we want with our 5W30 weight oil. We will be running break-in oil, but this is it with the crank put together. And now we can go ahead and start putting on the pistons. Alright, so here we're actually going to be checking our thrust bearing clearance. I got my mic set up with this movable arm. I'm going to go ahead and tap the back of this crank here forward and go ahead and get our measurement, which we will see here. Just going to give it a couple taps. We're going to go ahead and take that measurement. Looks like we got 5 thousandths of clearance, and that is the range we want to be in. So looks like our thrust bearing clearance is good.
If you're still using these, it's time to throw it in the trash. Test it.
We could even turn this over so that I can get to that one. Look it. Have a quid. Alright, I just want to break down this little bit of putting these wiseco, however you say it, piston rings in. I did have to buy these file fit rings. They had to be filed to size because my bore is a 4.130, but all they had really was the 4.132, which is fine. They just file fit them. You do have to purchase the groove lock oil ring spacer separately. Those are also specific sizes, but these ones specifically are the GLS 28, which will work for this according to the performance shop. Oil scraper, whatever it is.
Black one on top.
Black one is in the middle.
Oh, shit.
Silver one on top. Okay, and then this comes with 2 of these to lock that into place. Okay, and then these are your top and bottom rings. Top one is the, I think it's what is this? I forget the names. I'll list them. But one of them's like a steel nitride. The other one's a ductile iron, something like that. This is your steel nitride. There's an N on these. Let's see if I can get it to focus on it. That N is going to face the top of this piston. So we're going to make sure the N is facing the top of the piston. Put it into its groove. And install it. I'm actually going to do this on my legs. You guys can see. Okay. And up. Ring in. Go ahead and work that in. Round. Steel nitride on the bottom. Ductile iron. Steel nitride. There we go. I remember. Okay, that one is in. These are a little loose because they're file fit, but they will close the gap once we compress them. Now I'll put this one in and up. Just like so. Okay, those are just gonna float around for now. We will clock these when we get to it. Now, before we put in these three, I want to go ahead, or you will want to go ahead and get this groove lock spacer in there first. Now these do have a little dimple on it, so
I mean, take that one out. The dimple.
you could use a flathead if you want.
I don't know, it's kind of there.
Just kind of have to work it in there.
Is that okay, or does it have to be like right?
No, that's fine. As long as it's in between, then it won't move around. Okay, so this does have a dimple on it, which is there. You can kind of see it in the reflection in between my fingers. Unless I could bring it up to the camera. Okay, yeah, there's the dimple. That dimple is going to face the bottom of this piston in between this wrist pin area here. So as long as that dimple is in between there, then you will be fine with that. So let's get that in. Work it around. All right. Go ahead and bottom that to the bottom. Our dimple is not in that line now, but I'm going to work it into there. Okay, you can see the dimple is in between that wrist pin groove area. It's not going to spin around and move around inside of the engine. Now you're going to want to take this oil ring. These lock this against the piston. Okay, if you can see, there's little ridges or mountains on top of this ring. Kind of see it. Okay, and these black rings will lock that. Go on top, one on the top, one on the bottom, and it's going to lock that into place against the piston. Okay, just like that, that overlap there. So put in this one here. These you do not want to overlap. Don't want them to overlap while they're inside the piston. You want them to be just butted up together. So make sure they don't overlap while you're installing all these. So put this in right on top of that black spacer we just installed. Okay, they are butted up here. You can't really see it on camera. What I do is I push it where they're butted up for all the slack to be on the opposite side. Now we'll take this ring, we're going to put it right on top and work it around. Make sure this oil separator ring doesn't pop out. You still want this ring to be right on top of that to lock it into place. Okay, we got the top one in. Now we're going to go to the bottom. Make sure that ring is not overlapped, which it is not, and work that one around. Okay. Okay. Just keep working it. Around we go. Make sure it's in between that black spacer and this oil one. Can be pretty tricky. Just working it around. Kind of got my other one to pop out of place. Okay. Here we go, we're getting there. Alright. Now that's on there, it's in there. Just make sure it's in there. Okay. Worked around on that. Now double check that that oil separator ring is still just butted up against itself and not overlapped once I find where it's at.
Okay.
Okay, there it is. Alright. You're probably not going to see that on camera.
6 or 9.
But that groove is still only butted up against itself. And it's not overlapping. So that one is done. That's a complete piston ring install. Now we just got to get our ring compressor and get them in there.
Questioning me? Nah. So here's what we're gonna do, right? We're gonna just put this on Facebook Marketplace now.
So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna shut the fuck up.
You know what, but I need some motherfucking caffeine. I'm gonna get Dutch.
Oh,
Should I go get McDonald's? But I would have been put this shit together. It would have been like 2 days.
boy, I'm taking my time.
Yeah, not me, bro. You should have been on there.
That what would do is on motor. I'm just showing you. Slides it like this. Okay. Got this. This one. Boom.
Oh, that's
Got the lubricant. Line this up with the 8. Pop it into place. There. Tighten this down. Just going through all the rods here, torquing them down to spec. After that, we could finally get on our windage tray here, which you'll see. Just getting all the spacers in there. Got that windage tray on. And then now you can see I got that piston stop here for top dead center. Gauge is 0 to the deck right now. I'm going to set it over to the piston now so that I can test to see what the deck height clearance is. I'm expecting it to be about 5/1000ths of an inch, or 0.005. That is what wiseco lists on their catalog for these pistons. So let's see if we move this over to the piston, if I can actually get it to be here. I already set this at top dead center, and you can see there we get about 5/1000ths clearance. So that is where we want to be at for our deck height clearance.